lose.
I've killed for less. Oh, thank God.
All right, I think we're on. I only have one camera today because I had to incapacitate my usual camera woman, aka my wife, my bitch wife. So, we've successfully obtained the package. Despite the world ending, you see the post office still runs on time.
I'm just the postman.
As does Vinegar Syndrome. And so, we have our March package. Here is our quarantine box. We have quarantined all of our items, in this case many items. Before the event occurred, we did in fact order quite a bit of pornography. First off, we got a t-shirt. This is good. I haven't done laundry in at least 3 days. It's a nice Tammy and the T-Rex t-shirt. I'm just gonna gotta get the germs off. Gotta get the germs off. Germs. So I also, this is the last thing I ordered before the event. Life in a Film Can by Larry Ravine. He worked in the porno world and other film endeavors, and he actually had another book that is currently sold out on the website that was essentially the first volume in his sort of biography series. And well, I look forward to buying that at some point, but I wanted to go ahead and grab this while I could, since there were very few left in stock. In fact, I think I got the last one. Yeah, I got the last one, you motherfucker. Okay, got my knife. Okay, got Malabimba, which is one of the, oh, I can't show that, there's nipples there. Sort of a nunsploitation flick that I haven't really heard of before. And yeah. As we can see, we have our normal 2 discs with a special cover. I'm gonna go ahead and flip that. And bada bing, bada boom, we have Malabimba, which I'm very excited for, if only because I've never actually heard of it. Next up, Deadline, another one of the monthly packages. For those just tuning in to this broadcast, I get a package every month from Vinegar Syndrome. I did get their completionist package, which I am a happy subscriber to the completionist package. So Deadline, this is one of those that I've heard of but never actually watched. I'm very excited about this one. Very excited. She's not gonna get my beans again. No sir, she ain't gonna get my beans again. Those are my beans, you hear me? All right, so we open this up. Deadline, a living nightmare. Not unlike my bitch wife. All right, so standard issue. Nice alternate cover artwork. Gonna go ahead and flip that. Well, actually, oh, I don't know if I want to flip that or not. I'm not gonna flip that one. That's the tough thing when it comes to when you get 3 options. You know, you get the slip cover, but then you get like 2 options for the actual artwork on the Blu-ray itself. That's tough, man. That's tough. That's a life decision, man. It's a fucking life decision. Olivia is actually back in the day. I see that. Isn't that nice? Isn't that pretty? That's good. Yeah. So, oh, here it is again. So you kind of get basically the same as the back of the slipcover on the artwork. That's pretty cool. So I actually saw this movie back in the day, like 2009, 2010, back when we were all young, before, you know, the event. I saw it as a double with The Boogeyman, Louis L'Amel's other movie. Well, I say that, he has like 50 movies, but you know what I mean. Basically, he shot this in between, or like while waiting on another production to start, which is so fucking metal. You know how fucking metal that is, to just make a movie while you're like working on another movie, man? That's fucking metal, man. So here we go. Bada bing. Gonna open this sucker up. Got those panties getting slipped down. All right, look at that. Yeah. All right, I'll, you know what, since we got that artwork on the slip cover, I'll go ahead and flip that. Yeah, I'll fucking flip that. Yeah, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not scared. Got this this month's VCA release. Now, this doesn't happen every month, but now these VSA releases, they aren't actually part of the package monthly that you get. So if you got the package and that's all you got, then those movies are all you're gonna get, man. Not the book, just the movies. That's all you're gonna get. So you know, you gotta pay extra for these. I did have a discount code for this. So I didn't pay full price, but Hell Riders. You know, I don't know anything about it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I got it because it was a VCA release, and I decided a little late in the game that I want to get all the VCA releases. And so I decided, you know, why not, man? I'm going to do this show, this broadcast for all you cool cats out there in the wasteland. You know, I gotta do it. So we open this up. You can see, you know, the same artwork. Now the question is this going to be the artwork on the other side of the cover, man? That's the fucking question, man. That's the fucking question. Okay, so we open this up. Oh, got a fucking poster. Yeah, I'm gonna hang this up. You know I am. I'm gonna hang this fucking poster up. Let's go ahead and just let's just see. Let's just fucking see. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, boy. Yeah. Oh, now the only question is which side am I gonna fucking? Oh fuck. Gotta, you know, open this up, and sure enough, it's that one, man. And actually, you know, I don't know which one I prefer, man. I'm gonna do this one just cause. I'm just gonna flip it because it doesn't really matter. But you know, it would have been cool to get like 4 options just so I could really like, you know, fucking lose it, man. All right, so we're gonna close that back up. I don't know anything about this one. So a lot of these were like movies that, you know, shot on film, but then they were just kind of released straight to video and didn't really get a proper theatrical release. And then Vinegar Syndrome sends them out to like video stores, and that's like the only place that sells them, man. Well, that vinegarsyndrome.com and the video stores sell these. So now we got our 2 Peekarama titles. So Vinegar Syndrome, they brought back their Peekarama line of DVDs. This is pornography, okay? This is fucking pornography, man. And also not part of the monthly package, but that's okay. That's okay. I'm happy to buy them. Fucking fuck. And this is Carnal Highways and Carnal Olympics by Carlos Tobalina. Now you're gonna hear that name a few times. Carlos Tobalina, he's like the Ed Wood of porn. And I'm not saying them, and I'm ready to make a video essay about him, but I'm not saying that. You know what I'm saying, man? Fuck, man. As you can see, if you open this up, you get like all this cool old school artwork on the back. I'm not gonna flip it because it seems kind of unnecessary, but that's pretty nifty, man. All this old artwork from newspapers that were advertising these movies. It's pretty dope. That's creative, is what that is, man. Don't really have any special features, but that's not surprising. A, because it's porn, and B, because Carlos Tobalina died in the 80s, and there's not a whole lot of people left to interview. All right, so this is the other Peekarama that came out this month. This is Frankie and Johnny Were Lovers and The Mislaid Genii, and directed by Alan Kohlberg and Eric Jeffrey Hames. I don't know who they are. These are the pornos. These are the ones I just got because they were released this month, man. And, you know, that's all she wrote as far as my intentions, man. So we're going to open that up. Single disc, 2 movies. I should mention with the special features on these. Bop-a-doop, bim-bop, bibbidi-bop, boop. Interviews, brand new fucking audio commentary with film historians and authors. All right, man. Oh, we are canceling the apocalypse. All right, so the rest of the box is a lot of stuff that I decided to purchase over the last month before I realized that the entire world was going to end. I'm not going to open all these because that seems kind of superfluous, but we're going to go through them real quick, all right? We got Memories with Miss Aggie. Okay, you got your Gerard Damiano #1. Skinflix, Gerard Damiano #2. Got your Throat, 12 Years Later, Gerard Damiano #3. Boys in the Sand. This is gay porn. And this apparently put the art in butt sex. Got a bunch of Peekarama titles. Let's see, this one is Sinful Pleasures of Reverend Starr, Kinky Tricks, and China Lust, all by Charles DeSantos. I actually don't remember why I bought this. Let's see, The Sexorcist and Deviats in Love by Ray Dennis Steckler. This is another one where I heard good things about the director, and, well, bought the DVD. Flesh and Laces, parts 1 and 2. This is Carlos Tobalina's epic. It's over 3 hours long, and it has a really weird plot that I'm very excited about, where like this dad is dying and he's getting his children to just fuck. Jungle Blue, probably Carlos Tobalina's most famous movie. I'm very excited about this one. This is probably the first one to watch, honestly. Infrasexum is actually technically not a porno, but also Carlos Tobalina. It's one of his early works, and it's really weird. It combines eroticism and horror, and those are like my two favorite things, so rock and roll. Marilyn and the Senator is a movie that, it's also Carlos Tobalina, and you probably can't see it in the emergency lights that we have on right now, but the back cover is green with red text. This is a fucking terrible decision as far as design goes. All right, so let's see here. What else we got? We got Corruption. This is one I only really bought because I think Brad Henderson suggested it, which I haven't really seen the outside world recently. I assume that he's either dead or he's collected a lot of scalps at this point, but if you're out there, Brad, thank you so much for the recommendation. Every time I take one of your recommendations, I usually wind up pretty happy, so good shit, good shit. Let's see, we got Trashy Lady starring Ginger Lynn. This is one that I, you know, it's a porno. Taboo, another porno full of taboos. Mom wants to fuck her son. Pretty Peaches, the whole trilogy. Alex Terenzi, he's kind of the opposite of Carlos Tobalina. He's the pornographer that everyone respects. And I'm really excited to dive in, even though this all sounds really uncomfortable. Peekarama, Sadie, and the Seductress. This is Bob Chin. Bob Chin is a very famous director who's behind the Johnny Wad series, which you've ever seen, Boogie Nights. They parody that quite a bit in Boogie Nights. Prisoner of Paradise. This is a Bob Chin one. I think I bought it partly because it's Bob Chin and partly because John Holmes stars in it. And it's a war drama porn, which is exciting. We also got these two Pono things. These are basically I actually kind of want to unwrap. So most of these are just normal Blu-rays and DVDs, but this one is a little different, and I bought it not because I really know what to expect other than kind of cheap 16mm porno, but it's just got such cool cover art, and it was very cheap. It's got kind of like a cardboard, like very textury cardboard shell, and when you open it up, oh my god. Okay, so one of these was loose. That's fine. I get that. Things get jostled. Oh, and it has times too. 7 p.m. to 11. That's so cool, because basically this is just like all the movies that would have been shown at this theater back in the 70s. And I like the texture of them. This is a really cool way to put out a release. I'm very curious to see if Vinegar Syndrome has any more like this, because this is really cool. I'm just excited to have this physically in my collection, even if I don't like the movies. This is pretty dope. Fleshpot. I missed out on this one when it first came out, and I decided to go ahead and buy it because it seemed like a pretty popular release. Yeah, it's a very notable little bit of pornography. Got Vice Academy 1 through 3. This is another VCA release. You can pop that right out, and it's just kind of a standard Blu-ray. Coming to the end here, Flesh and Bullets. Carlos Tobalina's sex-filled reimagining of Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train. The Ultimate Treasure, or The Ultimate Pleasure, and I Am Always Ready, both by Carlos Tobalina. Oriental Hawaii and Mei-Lin versus Serena, Carlos Tobalina. Casanova and, The New Erotic Adventures of Casanova, and the sequel. The great-grandson of famous lover Casanova discovers his erotic charms and embarks on an erotic journey. Carlos Tobalina. And then finally, Undulations and Sexual Heights, both by Carlos Tobalina. That's what we got. A fuckload of porn and some cool new horror releases. This is so exciting. I think that what I'll do is, for all the patrons out there, if you're not part of the Patreon yet, get on it. It's $3 a month for literally everything. Well, not literally everything, but everything you'd want, you get for $3 a month. It's very worthwhile. As the months go on, we're going to be adding more and more content there. We already have several videos up, but yeah, I'll do a total unboxing of all of these. And by I mean I'll go through and I will show you what they all look like inside, since we're not going to be doing videos kind of documenting that part of it. So if you're really into unboxings and unwrappings, head on over to the Patreon and consider giving some money for some cool stuff. Unless you don't think it's cool, in which case it's not cool, and well, fuck me, right? All right, let's go watch some movies.
Now, the next part of the contest calls for you to get into the most original positions and to have the most cum shots.
Peekarama, Carnal Highways, and Carnal Olympics. Cum buckets, buckets full of cum. That's my takeaway after watching 2 whole Carlos Tobalina movies, and I gotta say, I'm sullied for life.
I'm a truck driver.
Oh, really?
Really?
Are truck drivers as horny as they claim to be?
Carnal Highways follows a pair of buds who buy a big rig truck in order to pick up girls. Now, obviously, there's already literally 5,000 problems with that plot summary, but that's what Tobalina went with. Anyway, these guys drive around California picking up hitchhikers and other shockingly liberated sorts, and generally just kind of fuck them in what is definitely the back of their truck and not just a half-ass set, probably in Tobalina's living room. And hey, don't worry, if that totally not a set isn't your thing, Tobalina finds all sorts of ways to get his trucker pals into all sorts of sexy shenanigans. Highways gets bonus points for featuring a scene with notable porn star Sika and a small cameo for Tobalina himself, although he doesn't whip stick out, which, good. The plot here is so thin that you can see the actors actively trying to make sense of it, and poor Fernando Fortes here is totally out of his element in these scenes. And you can kind of tell why he worked primarily behind the scenes on Tobalina's shoots. The guy is very awkward.
Massage Power Girls.
Oh, wow. What a beautiful girl.
Available anytime. Just call that number.
Oh, yeah, we gotta go right away.
You want to do it?
Oh, sure.
Carnal Olympics is, as far as I can tell, more on par with the rest of this director's body of work. Here, Tobalina really utilizes his famous love of prolonged orgies. Olympics features a bit more plot, if you count a sleazy ne'er-do-well convincing a bunch of women that he's in charge of a contest to see who can create the sexiest fuck scene a plot. They of course go along with this thinly veiled charade and go about a series of sexcapades, all of which take place in Tobalina's favorite location, his house. All of this culminates in one of the more outrageous orgy scenes committed to celluloid, in which, spoilers, the girls are tasked with filling outrageously large buckets with jizz. So sexy. These two classics are certainly something. Both are delightfully silly, although Highways is easily the more fun, and with no cum buckets. How does he do it?
Look, Johnny, let me see it. Nobody's here. Let me hold it.
Kind of pornographic, isn't she?
Frankie, you're gonna make me mess up this problem.
That's not all I want you to mess up.
Peekarama Volume 2, Frankie and Genii Were Lovers, and The Mislaid Genii. The second in this new line of Peekarama titles is immensely superior to the Tobalina joints. Both feature porn legend Renee Bond, who is perhaps most notable for being one of the first porn stars to get breast implants. And you know what? Not bad. In Frankie and Genii Were Lovers, Bond stars as the on-again, off-again girlfriend of Rick Lutz's Johnny, a computer analyst of some sort who has a computer best friend for some reason, and who wavers between being a naive stud and a violent misogynist. It's weird. Directed by Alan Kohlberg, Frankie and Johnny is fascinating, if only for the fact that its nonlinear structure and odd touches make for a cute little 70s experiment without all the fucking. I wouldn't necessarily call Kohlberg a great director, but it was a little shocking to find out he never appears to have attempted anything more mainstream.
Are you David Bates? Speak up, kid. Are you David Bates? Is this 3245 Delaware Street? In Cucamonga, California, US of A. Right on.
The mislaid Genii is a bit more fun and silly, telling the story of a young man who, when he rubs his penis, becomes the proud recipient of a magical wish-granting genie, played by Tobar Mayo, who you may remember from a small part in Escape from New York, or as the titular hero in A-Bar, the first black Superman. It's not the least politically incorrect porno you're likely to find, but it's so tongue-in-cheek and has just enough weird choices to make it an entertaining watch.
By the great balls of the prophet, I thought it felt a little damp for a lamp.
Renee Bond only appears for what I would call 1.5 scenes, but she is featured in a big orgy finale that really gives Carlos Tobalina a run for his money. Also, there are gangsters. I don't know why, but there are gangsters.
For fuck's sakes, you got a screw loose or something? Think you are? Adolf Hitler, Rommel, and Bela Lugosi all rolled up into one shit-covered gob?
Hellriders. Adam West and Gilligan's Island star Tina Louise star in this low-budget trashtacular from the mind of director James Bryan, he of The Executioner Part 2 fame, with longtime collaborator Renee Harmon co-writing the screenplay. According to Bryan in this Blu-ray's single interview, Hellriders was Harmon's best work, and well, I'm sure he means well. Hellriders is not a particularly good movie. The pacing is all over the place and the story seems ramshackle and thin, but if I'm being totally fair, the primary issues aren't even on Harmon. The real issue here is the filmmaking, which is abominably bad. According to Bryan, the cast and crew had a good time, and I'm glad they did, because it's a matter of mood and maybe a coin flip as to whether this one will resonate with you. Louise stars as Claire, a hooker from Las Vegas traveling through the desert with serious car issues. So she turns off into the last stop, Ramsburg, a town that definitely isn't just a tourist attraction in LA County. Ignoring the fact that this place does not at all make sense as a middle-of-nowhere desert town, we're introduced to a litany of low-budget action film stereotypes, including a slovenly sheriff, a couple of feisty diner waitresses, and the altruistic local all-in-one medical professional, Dr. Dave, played mostly by Adam West. On the outskirts of Ramsburg, a storm's a-brewin', not a real storm, that'd be too expensive. A biker gang who call themselves the Hellriders, led by the less than convincing Snake, are intent on raising hell and causing as much havoc as they can. Stupidity ensues.
You got anything to say for yourself before I kick the bunch of you out of here, Snake?
Hey, Ed. We should pool our clubs. Together, we could ride forever.
West and Louise only worked for a day on Hellriders. Despite ostensibly being the stars of the picture, filmmakers fill in this little issue by employing two body doubles who might as well be members of the Harlem Globetrotters for how much they resemble the stars. West wears a baggy jogging outfit and a baseball cap and shades, but that doesn't stop the film from prominently featuring the double's face time and time and time again. Now, I'm sure all that sounds like a hoot and a half, and Hellriders certainly would make for a fun party movie, there's no doubt about that, but it's just a little too lame a little too often. There are fun stunts here and there, but the acting rarely inspires much beyond cringe, and the silliness of the doubles eventually gets kinda tiresome. It's like a one-note joke that the filmmakers didn't intend to make. Give it a watch before buying if you can. Otherwise, it's far from the worst thing you could add to your collection, and could probably even be a classic depending on what substance you're currently abusing.
Everyone has to choose between good and evil, lady. I made my choice. It's evil!
Malabimba, the malicious whore. Say, you know what The Exorcist was missing? Fucking. Malabimba follows the familial drama unfolding in a secluded Italian castle. See, the wife of a rich so-and-so named Andrea has recently died, and the family has hired a medium to come by and help out with this whole talking to the spirit world jive. Unfortunately, things go awry, as they often do, and Andrea's daughter, Bimba, is possessed by an evil spirit.
Mangiare un po' di minestra stasera è buonissima. Alla tua età io ne mangiavo 3 piatti. Alla mia età stavi già scopandoti uno per uno tutti gli amici di tuo padre.
Soon she's sauntering around the castle, sexing the place up, and doing totally not Reagan from The Exorcist things, while her big-titted aunt also goes about sexing up the place. This all leads to a somewhat shocking but ultimately predictable finale. First things first, if you're expecting to fire off a few rounds of Knuckle Children to this moody 1979 Exorcist ripoff, you might want to reschedule your evening. Malabimba is an X-rated movie, and it does feature several sex scenes with penetration, but getting the audience off isn't this movie's primary objective, although it is directed by Andrea Bianchi, he of Burial Ground and Strip Nude for Your Killer fame, so don't expect a Disney flick. This one's more like Caligula, fairly normal exploitation that is, yes, quite horny, but in the end is basically an average go-round, but with some dick and badge spliced in for good measure. I am a little perturbed by all the sexualizing of a 16-year-old, but the actress was 18 or 19 at the time of filming, and, well, let's be honest, porn hasn't exactly gotten less taboo as the years have passed. Anyway, the resulting film is overall good. It's good. The biggest problem is that once you take out all the prolonged eroticism and family squabbles, not a whole lot actually happens in this secluded manner. By the time the finale arrived, I was shocked at how little progress had really been made, especially in the horror department. Considering Bianchi's other work, I was expecting a little more bloodlust, but he's pretty restrained in that department. But don't worry, there's still plenty of sleaze afoot for all you scumbags and perverts out there. This is one of those titles that's probably not going to look much better than it does here. The film is naturally pretty soft and the colors are dull, but there's quite a bit of atmosphere on display that transcends those innate issues. The production design and lighting gives off a remarkably gothic tone that's dreamy for the eyes. I'd go so far as to say this is probably the most visually appealing of this month's batch. Just look at this creepy bedroom. Who sleeps in a bedroom like that? Genius! On the bonus features side of things, we get a delightful commentary with Sam Deegan, Heather Drain, and Kat Ellinger. These ladies are absolute powerhouses in their knowledge of cult cinema, and as such, this commentary is a very worthwhile listen. If there's one big discrepancy I have with this release, it's that I wish the non-hardcore version was available. Not only because it would make it easier to watch with more, let's say, conservative friends, but also because they're just kinda unnecessary.
We're spending millions here trying to produce shit, and she's talking about feeling.
If he talks like that one more time, I am walking off this set. I am an artist. I do not have to put up with this shit.
An artist? You can't even spell a word.
Deadline. Stephen Young plays Stephen Lessie, a definitely not Stephen King analog who's having a bit of a rough time. Sure, he's a big success as a writer, but the latest film production is turning out to be a massive pain thanks to an uncooperative actress, and his marriage is falling apart.
Could it be that her prick husband abandoned her? Fucked her over years ago, just to get it on with a sick little typewriter's keyboard.
And of course, being a horror writer in a movie, he's also having trouble completing his latest book. Amidst all this drama, we get stylized vignettes showing Lessie's imaginative sequences of murder and mayhem. Deadline is probably the least memorable of the straight films in this month's package. That's not to say it's bad, in fact it's definitely a better piece of work than Hellriders, and it has the most professional sheen out of the lot. The problem is that its real-world story is pretty old hat, while the fantasy segments are just that, fantasy. Taken out of context, things like a blood shower and a rock band with literal killer music sounds fantastic. But since they're not real, it takes the wind out of the film's sails. You wind up kinda wishing you were watching any of these great schlocky flicks instead of just watching Lessie expound on how misunderstood he is, or these uber-liberal college dipshits calling out the violence in his work. That said, it's not a bad little flick, just not as fun as it outwardly appears. On the special features front, we get a 12-minute interview with producer Henry Less and a 14-minute interview with cinematographer Manfred Goutet. The Less interview gives us a solid idea of the environment of Canadian film production at the time and how Deadline came to be. Goutet gives a fairly typical overview of how he came onto the project with little insight into the production. Neither seems like they were too interested in making a horror movie, and I think that's the big mistake here. This was a production company taking advantage of tax credits and seemingly unsure of what they were trying to say.
This script doesn't work.
That's because you're too stupid to memorize your lines.
Are they pro-horror? Are they anti-horror? It's just hard to say. Deadline seems critical of Lessie's profession while also exploiting the subject matter he's responsible for. It's a confusing message that the film never really recovers from. The lack of well-written dramatic substance only exacerbates the problem. That all being said, the third act does come into its own and is a walloping good time. It also gets very dark, so there are plenty of positives here. It's a weird little flick, and at the very least, a pretty entertaining time capsule from the Canadian tax shelter era. But man, I really just want to watch this killer goat movie. You get him, Black Phillip.
How does it go? London Bridge is falling down, falling down,
falling down. London Bridge is falling down.
didn't remember this Uli Lamo flick as well as I thought I did from my 1 decade ago viewing, although my memory is that it's at least better than The Boogeyman, and that seems to have held up pretty well. This moody little thriller is about as thinly plotted as everything else in this month's offerings, but it's probably the most coherent of the bunch. Say what you will about Lommel, and boy I could say a lot, when he was firing on all cylinders, he could make a pretty engaging flick. Starting off in London, Susanna Love's Olivia is trapped in a dead-end marriage to her abusive blue-collar husband. Having already seen her mother brutally killed by an American soldier as a child, Olivia's pretty fucked up to start off with. Soon, though, she's taken too much guff and gets into the murderous hooker profession. Now, this could make for a pretty fun little sleaze fest by itself, but old Uli has other prospects in mind. See, we're also introduced to an American engineer played by Robert Walker, and long story short, romance blooms and we eventually make our way around the world to Lake Havasu, Arizona. Basically, Lommel found out about Lake Havasu's semi-famous relocated London Bridge while scouting for The Boogeyman 2 and thought it would make for a great filming location. So he wrote a script to best utilize it. Well, he had someone else write a script to best. It doesn't matter. You might think that's dumb, and you may be right, but it's such a wild plot turn that I can't help but applaud the use of resources. And what follows is a weird detour that eventually makes its way back to the initial plot setup, and while kinda stupid, it really works once you ignore all the logic issues. Susanna Love is great as Olivia. Lommel gets a lot of chances to produce some gorgeous imagery, and at the end of the day, Olivia feels like a fun waste of time. Extras-wise, this disc is the most packed of the bunch, even if we don't get a commentary track, which I personally think is a missed opportunity, but whatever. We get a 15-minute interview with Susanna Love, who gives us a lot of insight into how personal Olivia actually was for Lommel, to whom Love was married at the time. It's a nice, fairly comprehensive overview of the process of making Olivia that actually makes me want to revisit and discover more of Lommel's work. We then get a 17-minute interview with writer and assistant director John P. Marsh, who has an interesting way of pronouncing John Carradine.
John Carradine.
He gives us even more insight into the writing process, including the little factoid that Uli always just kind of gave himself first credit for the screenplays, which is certainly a very German thing to do. Cinematographer John Cranhouse gets 18 minutes to talk about his own experiences with Uli and how he got upgraded from gaffer to cinematographer. He also gets into some technical aspects that I was thrilled to hear about. Also, dude shot Jason Lives, so he's a must-watch in my book. Rounding out the interviews is a nearly 20-minute long stretch of insight from editor Terrell Tannen, and shock of shocks, it's also super informative. All of these interviews together make for a very inspiring experience, and I wanted to immediately run out and make a movie. Too bad it's total Captain Trips out there right now. The special features are rounded out by 19 minutes of behind-the-scenes 8mm footage shot and narrated by John P. Marsh. It's not the most exciting featurette, but it's a nice step back in time to see the cast and crew working and enjoying themselves. Overall, this is an excellent release and easily the best of the bunch. Even if the movie doesn't do it for you, these are some of the best, most comprehensive interviews I've seen recently. To the guys at Vinegar Syndrome, great job. And that is that. Another month down with some just really solid Vinegar Syndrome releases. I know I sounded a little harsh with a lot of these, but you know, it's a stressful time, man. Stressful time. Please, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, comment below, let me know what you thought of the movies. If there are any movies in the bunch that I got that I did not review, please let me know if you would like to hear reviews of any of those in particular. I am planning on a bunch of videos, not just about porn, don't worry. I'm going to talk about horror movies, I'm going to talk about more classic arty movies from Mubi and all kinds of other stuff, but please just let me know what you think. Also, don't forget to watch my movies. They're both on Amazon. Fatal Future is available for free if you're on Prime, and then The Head is available for, I believe, $7 to buy or $3 to rent. It's also available on Vimeo On Demand, where you can get all of the special features, both now and in the future, if you purchase it there. And yeah, we also have a Patreon. I already mentioned that. Please check out my Patreon. A lot of cool stuff happens. If you're already a patron, thank you so much, and I look forward to providing you with more content soon. Where the fuck is that red light coming from?